Hello, my name is Sam Gilbert, and I have been tasked with conducting a review on our team's risk management plan. Within the risk management plan, accountabilities, roles, and responsibilities for different risks have been clearly identified. These risks have been split into separate categories, and individual team members have been allocated specific risk categories. These categories were chosen based on individual team members' relevant skills and experiences. To effectively manage risks as they appear, and not have them completely derail progress on the project, specific rules and procedures have been put in place within the risk management plan to outline what needs to happen if specific types of risks appear. For example, in the case of a team member facing a technical challenge they are unable to figure out themselves, then it will be looked at by all group members, depending on how critical it is to the system's operation, and if it cannot be solved, then one of the relevant contingencies will have to be executed. The plan for communicating these risks have been shared with all team members, namely using the Trello board and messaging service. Progress made on identifying and managing risks will be available in a shared document in Google Drive also. Risks have been categorized into technical, people, organizational, tool, requirements, and estimation risks. A risk rating system has been designed rating risks out of 3. 1 being a risk that doesn't impact core functionality of the system and isn't urgently in need of managing. Level 2 is a risk that needs to be managed soon but doesn't fundamentally risk the system's operation or effectiveness. Level 3 is a risk that needs to be managed immediately and it fundamentally impacts the operation and integrity of the system. The group has decided on what level of risk is acceptable, and that will be level 1 risks. For our risks, where appropriate, mitigation plans have been defined in order to avoid and minimize the impact on the system. Where mitigation plans are not possible, alternative risk contingency plans have been defined to clearly outline what direction the group will take should the risk occur. As our group has clearly outlined the objective of this project in the scope description, we have been able to identify specific risks which directly relate to these objectives. Information relating to the identified risks was collated, and this was enough to make decisions relating on individual risks. Each risk has a risk statement from which we can see what uncertain event would contribute to the risk and what in this event would cause the risk to happen. Within these statements, the effects of each of these risks would have on the related objectives is also made clear. Each risk has been allocated a risk owner who is in charge of identifying and analysing each risk. These risk owners were just one of the stakeholders involved in completing an assessment, and all relevant stakeholders involved in assessing each risk were listed as well. The categories outlined above were used to categorize each risk based on whether they were the cause of the risk and how probable it is that they would occur. This has also been defined based on the risk rating system explained above. Critical controls have been identified for each and where appropriate have been used within the relevant avoidance and mitigation strategies. Where these avoidance and mitigation strategy plans don't exist for certain risks, appropriate contingency plans have been defined and are ready to be implemented. These risks have been prioritized based on their given ratings and then how quickly the risk needs to be actioned. Our group will be using the document on Google Drive for members to write up progress on individual risks and their associated plans. This document will be reviewed at the weekly group meeting, and any relevant decision from these meetings will be added to the document. When coming up with the risks, one of the things that will be decided is tests that can be run to monitor the likelihood of the risk and what test benchmarks need to be hit before a risk review needs to be conducted to potentially re-rate it or alter the mitigation or the contingency plans. Thank you for listening.